Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about cross-cultural communication. It really draws my attention. All communication is cultural. It draws on ways we have learned to speak and give nonverbal messages. We do not always communicate the same way from day to day, since factors like context, individual personality, and mood interact with a variety of cultural influences we have internalized that influence our choices. Communication is interactive, so an important influence on its effectiveness is our relationship with others. And we can do some questions about it. Do they hear and understand what we're trying to say? Are they listening well? Are we listening well in response? Is the mood positive and receptive? Is there trust between them and us? Well, the answer to these questions will give us some clues about the effectiveness of our communication and how we react to move through conflict. The challenge is that even with all the goodwill in the world, miscommunication is likely to happen, especially when there are significant cultural differences between communicators. Miscommunication may lead to conflict or aggravate conflict that already exists. We make, whether it is clear to us or not, quite different meaning of the world, our places in it, and our relationship with others. In addition, cross-cultural communication is principally related with ideas, attitudes, and behaviors, involving four variables that are time and space, is the location where we live has different ways to see things, faith and personal responsibility, that is our point of view according to our beliefs, face and face saving, that is face-to-face communication, that is a standard of good trust and communication with others. But the most important is nonverbal communication. For example, nonverbal communication is hugely important in any interaction with others. Its importance is multiplied across cultures. This is because we tend to look for nonverbal cues when verbal messages are unclear or ambiguous, as they are more likely to be across cultures, especially when different languages are being used. So that's the way we see different things, or we understand different things. As our familiarity with these different starting points increases, we are cultivating cultural fluency, awareness of the ways cultures operate in communication and conflict, and the ability to respond effectively to these differences. In the video that we saw in this unit with Pellegrino Riccardi, we have three questions. For example, first, it is what problems arise from cultural stereotyping. What I think is taking into account that culture is a system of behavior that help us act and in an accepted way. As human beings, we tend to stereotype or qualify actions and behaviors that are not familiar with our own culture, and we cannot accept that as easy as we want, tending to criticize it or laughing at it just because it's different. Imagine that. And that is when problems arrive. An example of it could be the way we speak English, for example. We will not have the same response if we talk with a Mexican accent rather than an English accent, just because people tend to see it differently and weird. From the other side, we will not have the same reaction, even we could have a negative reaction. Question number 2. What problems arise from ineffective communication? Well, when ineffective communication arises, we tend to act with a strange attitude, not getting the idea that other person is trying to communicate. Also, we cannot accept it because it's unfamiliar, and we tend to criticize not getting along with others. That's really a problem. And number 3, how can it be solved? Well, the problem is going to be solved only when we expand our borders and create a new culture, putting away these communication barriers, having a global mindset. And this is what makes the world goes round. Thank you and good afternoon.